Okay, General Ko, please continue with
Okay,
risk
I'm
assessment.
sure everyone has using the time to go through the PowerPoint, so I don't think, if you all are okay, maybe we can open for questions for the document. Maybe the only one thing I would like to highlight, kind of the updates to it, is that on slide 7, Slide 7 is the auditing standards. This year, government auditing standard, which is like managed by GAO, Government Accountability Office, they make some updates to the Yellow Book. So OAG follows the Yellow Book. So we also need to make adjustments to our own audit menu. And then also, this year, we are up for a external peer review, meaning someone else will come in to audit our shop to ensure that we are doing the audit according to the government auditing standards. So I want to highlight that. And then I also want to highlight the last slide before the appendix, which is what we really want to use it to communicate who OAG is slide 14. So I'm sure a lot of us will do preventative, healthcare to see a healthcare provider for prevention purpose, so that we can prevent a really not so good problems from happening. So OAG is just the same, where we go out to do audit, routine audit to support management to identify areas that need attention. So prevention is always better than cure. So with that, I would like to hand the time back to Ryan for questions.
Thank you. Do any members of the committee have questions on this PowerPoint? Seeing none, we will move on to item 1.04, OAG inquiry updates. So over to Esther.
Thank you. So the next document is the internal inquiry updates. So this is a document that I share with the audit committee members regularly and also to the public so that you all can see the types of inquiries, cases that we receive. So we received about 9 inquiries so far through the end of August. And then it also shows kind of the number of claims that we received totally from fiscal year 21 through now. And then we have the categories of like conflict of interest, documentation, and etc. And OAG takes all the claims very seriously, and we will conduct a preliminary review according to our regulation 1410. So that's all I would like to say.
Yes, Mr. Moon.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you for all these numbers. So these numbers, it's a set of data for me. However, do they signify anything? I mean, what should I look for in these numbers?
So thank you, Mr. Moon. And I know that this is a question that a lot of you may have in mind as well. I actually think that what you can learn from it is that we can see the numbers are going up generally from fiscal year 21. So that's the trend. And then we can see a little bit of down in fiscal year 25. And it's mainly related to the category of not related to fraud, waste, and abuse at FCPS. So to me, it's really a great story to share that our employees, our constituents are using it for really reporting cases that OAG could review. And of course, could I compare with the other jurisdictions or other audit shop who also maintain a hotline? And I try to get that data. However, many of the shops, they do not publicly advertise the number. So can we do a better job to communicate the existence of the line? Of course, always, right? And I'm looking for all the audit committee members' help, if you don't mind, to put it on your newsletter or in your circle of like communities so that they are aware of the existence of this hotline. But we do keep on receiving quite a lot of cases, and I don't have it here yet, but as of today, September 15th, I actually got 5-6 more cases. So now I have 15 altogether for this fiscal year. So the numbers are going up, and I think people really take it seriously and reporting cases that can represent authentic concerns that they may have.
If I ask a follow-up, so again, looking at the numbers, whether when numbers go up, should I be concerned? Because the more people are questioning about some aspects or a lot of aspects or different aspects of the operation of a school system, or should I be happy because numbers going up and our employees who are members in the community are taking advantage of what you have in OAG, what OAG can do to
Yeah.
help improve the system. So that is where my inquiry is. It's a set of data, and so what as a school board member?
So if I may just very quickly comment on that, I think as an auditor, I am trained to have no happy or sad about the data, but then try to be, staying on course for the facts. And I don't think what you mean, but so for me, that we will continue to advertise the hotline. The numbers do represent a good amount of workload for the team. Because that each case, in order to do preliminary review, we have been mobilizing the entire office in order to look into that. The trends alone, I think that it remains something very critical for the workload for OAG as a whole. And I do know that our employees are really taking it very seriously and then to report cases to us. And then that door, I feel like, is open and employees know where to go to when they have this type of concerns. So I think that the work is going strong. But looking at the statistic alone, it may not be able to draw conclusive evidence about that.
Just one last follow-up to that is probably, I'm repeating myself, maybe in the next time you present this report, you can at least help one board member as to what I should be looking for out of these numbers. If a board member's role is to work on a policy level, then how do I use these numbers to do my work? Thank you.
Ms. St. John Connie?
So, yeah, I would like a little bit of explanation because one of the highest just across the board has been not related to fraud, waste, and abuse at FCPS. And I would love for you to give examples of that. And also, when you give examples of that, is there something that may be piggybacking on what Mr. Moon said, something that we could look at in terms of policy and how that might work? And what comes to my mind is boosters.
Thank you, Mercia. So first question about some example. I can share that, but at the same time, they are not found, right? They are allegations, concerns. Some of them can be related to actually maybe school board members and saying school board members are not responsive in responding emails. I was like, have totally nothing to do with fraud, waste, and abuse. And it mentioned something like claims of fraud, waste, and abuse because gatehouse do not have filtered water. So it's not kind of real. I think you get a sense of what I'm trying to say with this. In terms of policy making, great question, is actually depending on the specific case that we got. If we get more cases concerning booster or athletic events, that obviously some of that we may be talking, during closed meeting if it involves personnel matters. So I won't discuss it here, but definitely it will give my team more thoughts and together with the audit committee about what policy or regulation need to be updated. But it will be very specific to the specific case, if it makes sense.
No, thank you. It does. Thank you.
Great. Seeing no further questions or comments, we will now move on to item 1.05, audit follow-up status. So I call on Monia Trihab for.
Three minutes, okay. All right. So I'll be presenting the audit recommendation follow-up as of July 31st, 2025. So before we dive into the specific audit, I would like to quickly review how the audit process works. Janet, could we please go to page 2? As you can see from flow chart on page 2, this process is determined by the age of the open recommendation. For actions that are under 3 years old, we obtain evidence from the audit clients and report on them quarterly. For if the corrective actions have been open for more than have been open for 3 to 8 years, we follow up and report on them on an annual basis. And finally, for any actions or any open actions that are open for more than 8 years, we close the audit. Going on to the July audit recommendation follow-up, we currently have 9 audits. We closed 13 recommendation this period. The first item on page 5, it's FNS, or Food and Nutrition Services. We were able, the 2 recommendations related to benchmarking and updating FNS regulations are in process and not due as of July 2025. The next item on page 2 is the procurement process audit. We were able to close 1 recommendation related to procurement procedure. The 1 recommendation related to update regulation 5012 is in process, but is not due as of July 31st, 2025. For the other 5, we have extended the due dates from July to October 2025. Our third item is the critical process review of hiring. We closed 4 recommendations that they're listed on page 7. There are 2 recommendations that are outstanding and currently in process related to onboarding and principal hiring strategy. The remaining 9 recommendations for critical process hiring are outstanding, but they're not due as of July 31st, 2025. And the last item we have is business process audit. We were able to close all 5 business process audit related to warehouse operation, Great Falls Elementary School, Mount Vernon, South County, Stanford, where OAG verified that support and documentation are timely and approved. Our next audit follow-up will be as of October 31st, 2025, and is scheduled to be presented to the audit committee on January. Did I make it in 3 minutes?
Well done.
Thank you.
So questions or comments on audit follow-up status? Mr. Moon.
Were you able to breathe through the presentation? Can I breathe? Okay. I am trying to have a better understanding of what it means when you say, for audit recommendations open for more than 8 years, audit will be closed. So there are recommendations and not finally implemented or adopted by a
Process
management
owner.
or schools or something. We're just going to forget about them after
Well,
8 years?
Well, we closed them, and it aligns with the FCPS policy of records management, which is 8 years.
Yeah, but recommendation is, I mean, the work left to be done, still to be done. That is why it is open, correct?
Yes.
So we're just going to close it, audit closes, then what happens to those recommendations?
If we have not received follow-up actions from management or process owners, we will close it if it's past 8 years, and that's aligned with records
I
management.
understand that part, but what do we do with the work still left to be done? Do board just close their eyes and just ignore those?
Let me try to answer that. So for the past 8 years, when I am taking my role here, the only audits that have remaining recommendations longer than 8 years is related to the preventive maintenance of our facility buildings. That's the only one. So what we did with that, I totally hear what you say, Mr. Moon, because we should be able to close our recommendations with adequate supporting documentation, right? That is a very special case because it's very restricted by funding, that particular finding. So what we did with that, we actually incorporate that finding into our most recent facilities maintenance audit. I think that was done in fiscal year 23? 24. So we take a look at that and see where we are. We really try to highlight the risk for management and the school board to consider where the funding should be allocated, right? So we did include that as a risk highlight in the fiscal year 24 audit. So technically, we didn't really close it because we take another look at it. But many times, situations where we could not see a timely resolutions of recommendations are most of the time budget driven.
So then could I assume that, before you actually close the audit and just close your eyes to the work to be done, you will bring that to the attention of audit committee?
Yes, of course.
What is
Yes.
still,
Yes. That one you are absolutely correct, Mr. Moon. That one we bring it back to the audit committee every time, and I think there was a time that it was a different board, right? So we brought it to the attention that it has been open, but unfortunately there was no funding allowed at the time, so we incorporate that as part of the scope of work for the fiscal year 24 audit.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further questions or comments, I will now close the public meeting, which is ended at 4:43 p.m., and the board will now meet in closed session.